your right hand.
Don't follow his instructions.
Yeah, don't follow them. Okay, I'm gonna say, you repeat after me. As an officer of the Clark County Fire Department,
As an officer of the Clark County Fire Department,
it is my duty to save lives and protect property.
it is my duty to save lives and protect property.
In the service to the citizens of Clark County,
In service to the citizens of Clark County,
I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Kelly Smith, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
and I will obey and enforce the laws and ordinances
that I will obey and enforce the laws and ordinances
of Clark County in which I serve,
of Clark County in which I serve,
so help me God.
so help me God.
This is your chance to stick him good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Kelly Smith.
Okay, at this time, we're at the point in our agenda where we have public comments. Do we have any? We have no one signed up for public comments, okay.
I got here a little late to sign up.
I'm sorry?
There's someone here, she's basically this chance to sign up.
Oh, okay. I'll just have her state her name when she gets, if you would state your name.
My name is Robin Kunkel. I'm here because I was made aware of at your last meeting, you were discussing some sort of policy change that would allow you to hold federal prisoners at our detention center. And I wanted to get some clarification about what that would entail. Is it just pretrial? Are these federally convicted folks? Is there a time limit on any of this? I'm very concerned about any kind of policy that would allow us to add more people to the jail because it's at 150% capacity as of today, according to their own website, and I really don't know where we would put anyone else. And even more so, federally convicted is intended to be in a federal prison because there are certain programs and certain healthcare access and certain resources that are allotted to them for long-term stays that any detention center or local jail is not going to have. So I would just love to get some clarification about what actually that policy is, like what the wording is, where I can find that, where I can review that. Thank you.
If, could I ask you to spell your last name?
Yes, it's Kunkel.
Okay, thank you so much. Right. We have a presentation by ECC HIC Group. I'll turn the floor over to you all.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing us this time. Let me give you some handouts. Thank you.
What does the ECC HIC stand for again?
Employers committed to control health insurance costs.
No wonder I couldn't remember it.
I was gonna make it longer, but then I couldn't.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and, part of the team that's here that is working your behalf, of course, is Danny Neely and Nevin Goebel, who is in charge of the pharmacy side of this locally. We're about to complete the first year of the health insurance program that has taken the insurance premium off the cost of health care and what's hidden in that insurance premium and netted out the middlemen so that your pharmacy component is maintained as a preferred resource, your local pharmacies, and working directly with them, which reduces the cost of the pharmacy component substantially. And the healthcare and medical, working directly with a medical network that takes the insurance company's premium or markup on healthcare off the table as well, which reduces the actual cost of health service, depending upon the type of service you get, 20 to 40% from a premium price to a true market price, but protect against any unforeseen major event. So the first,
What was your name again?
my name is Howard Danzig.
Howard Danzig.
Correct.
Thank you.
For you to know what your costs are. So I brought a summary so at least you can see a comparison. The first piece that I want to refer you to is your claims information. This is generalized claims information. It's not depicting any individual. It's not depicting any condition. It depicts the statistics. If you take a look at the top section, it says, in the top section that's shaded, right in the middle of the page, it says actual monthly attachment point. Now, what that depicts what portion of premium you had been paying, which is known as reserve for claims. And that is not a cost, but a target or reflection of what expected premium or funding for claims would be. But that's money that you control. The column right next to it is the year-to-date amount. Now, right next to that is the column that says year-to-date claims. Now, this includes your pharmacy and medical claims in total, $628,899. However, not all of that even is your responsibility. Your responsibility is in the second column from the right where it says year claims. That's only $407,788, which is less than half what the reserve for claims target would have been in premium or is actually now in funding. Now, the reason for the difference is right in the middle of that page where it says individual specific amount $75,000. Now, the policy that you have protects against any individual whose accumulation of claims exceed $75,000. There are only two of them. There was one claim for $193,000 and change, one for $113,000 and change. The first 75 in both of those is included in the year-to-date net claims that I just referred to. The balance of it is the responsibility of the insurance carrier, and you are not responsible for that. So even though the claims that you incurred were $628,000 in total, because you had a couple of large claims, county is $471,000. Now, the breakout of the medical and the pharmacy is in the very, very bottom section where it has gross claims in the bottom left-hand column, $628,000, and then the breakdown between what the medical was and what the pharmacy was. So we can't predict what your claims are going to be, but what we can predict is that there's no substitute for knowing what your costs are so you can manage and budget properly, but also you can't spend more for the same thing if you get the middlemen out of the way, which is what you've done. So now we'll come to the actual renewal. What Danny handed out is the renewal. And we'll just cut right to the chase here, to the actual cost. If you take a look at for your protection, large claims this year is $161,703. The renewal is, even though you had those large claims, is in a column right next to it, $362,599. The increase is $800 for the group for the year. The reason for that is because you have knowledge of the claims, the carriers know we have knowledge of the claims, and they are pricing the risk based on next year. It has nothing to do with last year, and this is the actual net true cost of insurance. So the insurance component is only going up $800 for the year. Now, the second section is, second section down, administration. That reflects the cost of the administrator who handles the paperwork, the medical network, the utilization review, and also you're self-funded on the dental, and they're charging $3 a month to manage that per employee. And there's one item in here which we can eliminate. You'll notice where it says manual eligibility fee. Eligibility or enrollments and everything like that can be handled either electronically or manually. And there will be a $150 per month for the group fee, or $3,000. $3,000. In total, your fixed cost between premium $402,355 for the year. If you do eligibility manually, the administrative cost and insurance cost would be $409,717. However, if it's done electronically, the total cost of fixed expense will be $406,717, or $4,000 more than last year, or 1%, but relative to the overall cost of your program, less than 1%. So your benefits can remain the same. Your funding, I would expect, and I would suggest that you consider increasing your funding between 5 and 10%, and here's the reason why I'm saying that. The dynamics in the healthcare system right now are set where really, and the reason for that, the staffing is becoming more precious. In other words, the staffing is becoming a little bit less than adequate, and there's medical personnel being let go from the doctor and nursing standpoint, and the system letting a simple thing like nurses that are being let go are now those same nurses to help hospitals staff properly. And I'm seeing this, I don't know if it's happening here yet, but I'm seeing it in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska. These same nurses are getting as much as $5,000 to $10,000 a week as traveling nurses to fill staff at hospitals, and somebody's got to pick that up. And so, just for that standpoint alone, you may want to make some adjustment, and that's what we're suggesting to people, simply because of that dynamic. I'll leave this. Having knowledge of the system, One is in the New York Times, and the headline reads, "Discounted cash prices would help control costs." Well, that's what you're buying at now. And for that to be in the New York Times of all places, and billion, that's another reason why, because the delays in being paid by these major insurers impacts the cash flow, and therefore, there's adjustments in cost for that. And then the last thing, with regard to the drugs, and I think I showed this last year, this has to do with an article in Business Week about Caterpillar Tractor. It said, drug costs too high, fire the middleman. Well, that's what you've done here. So the dynamics that you have taken are the steps that get a better value and more efficiency out of the medical dollar. And that's, what is in place now. And if you see fit to continue that, that's the dynamic in place. Devin?
I've got one question while
Yes,
you're on
sir.
that topic of increased costs.
Yes, sir.
Our contractor that we use for our contracting is First Health, is that correct?
That's correct.
So First Health has, in order to be paid by First Health under our insurance plan,
Right.
each provider, hospital, and everything has to have a contract
That's
with
right.
First Health.
That's right.
So that would control our cost increasing, because unless they're going to renegotiate their contracts over and beyond what we currently have. So regardless if the hospital's prices are increasing, we're still not going to have to pay any more because they're an agreed contract with First Health. Am I correct on that?
To a degree, Judge. You see, many...
Magistrate, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Magistrate
I'm
Daniel,
sorry, I'm sorry. To a degree, but also, many of these contracts, depending upon the services, are a percentage discount of what is billed.
Correct.
So there's escalation in there. Some are not, but the stuff is billed. And another thing that's happening is because of the COVID, there's a pent-up demand for a lot of elective services or marginal services that, once they begin to hit, it's kind of like a dam breaking, and you're going to see that also. So to what degree that's true here, I do not know. But as far as the dynamic is concerned, that's very much a consideration. I hope that answers your question. Evan, Dan?
On the page of this one. Expected plan cost.
Yeah, you see, there's a margin between what insurance companies expect it to be and the margin they give themselves, to cushion, all right? And generally, it's about a 20% differential. So maximum is a maximum, and that is, a markup to what the expected claims are. But in reality, those are just really projections, because in actuality, your costs are coming in a fraction, about half of what the expected claims are this year. All right? You see, if you go over those numbers cumulatively, you have protection, okay? So, but if you're under, you never send the money in. And the way health insurance is constructed is health insurance is really a misunderstood anomaly, because a good portion of healthcare costs are identified already present in diseases of capital. Just as a quick example, if you have a diabetic in your plan, that individual will be a diabetic, and their need for certain drugs is going to be ongoing expense. So now the decision is, buy those drugs from an insurance system with two people marking it up, or do you buy it direct local resource at net cost? So you can either buy it with a premium or a net medical dollar. So you're buying your healthcare services with a net medical dollar, controlling and owning the funding for what is identifiable, and insuring against what you can't predict. So health insurance premiums is really a combination of the fixed expense of premium to protect against what you don't know, administrative costs, which is the clerical expense, and then an additional premium to take a risk for what they don't know. You pay funding for what they identify, and you've minimized the premium paid to a third party to take a risk for what you can't identify. And that's the component.
I guess my real question was, what's the difference between option 1 and option 2? I mean, the numbers end up pretty close to the same, but what's the difference in those two options?
Well, option 2 is at a a different structure of premium, where if we need to reach back into your current year to over the stop the current stop loss.
Has nothing to do with the payment method.
Well, it's a payment method, or it's a coverage that right now is unnecessary.
Okay,
So that's why I haven't touched on it.
okay, I got you, okay.
Too many programs that I see are over premiumed and over quote insured, and what we're trying to do is to minimize where your premium is and maximize what we can get out of that fixed expense if it's not necessary. So right now it appears that the renewal option of 362, which is flat, is the best one.
And where's that number at? Tell me where that number is.
It's on the first page, and it is second column in the middle.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
All right, that reflects what you're doing now.
Okay, I got you.
As opposed to increasing the insurance company's involvement, which is not
I
necessary.
got you, okay.
I hope that answers your
Yeah.
question.
mhm.
I have a question. I don't know who needs to answer it, but I've had some conversations with some of our employees, and I think the judge can add on to this too, because I know he has since he's been here the last month, about expenses being denied and local providers not accepting the insurance that we have. Is that something you can answer? Or?
Yeah, I don't know what the specifics are. Do you know anything about that, Danny?
There was one local dermatologist that's out of network,
Mhm.
and we've had some calls on that.
Even Walmart for eye care has been denied. I mean, I don't know how much more common you get than Walmart.
Well, I don't know why it would have been denied, but if I can find out what the specifics are. You see, you folks are in control of your program.
Who do we
So-
get that information to try to get an answer on it?
Well, you can get it to either
Danny?
Nevin, Danny, or
Okay.
myself,
Okay.
and we'll get that answer.
Okay.
All right. I will tell you that there's no network that's perfect, and there's no uniformity amongst medical providers as to who will accept what. There's always marginal issues that, if we find out about it, we can position you to get it fixed per your discretion. Any other questions? Danny? Is there any? Nevin? Yes, oh, thank you. Last year, if you recall, the premium was going to come in around 1.2 to 1.3 million. And you would have expected probably at least a 10% increase on that this year based on what we're seeing around the marketplace. And your costs are coming in under that. And we'll probably be pretty close this next year against this as well. Any other? Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Said it, Danny, or, okay.
Don't have any additional questions?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I will. I'll send it to Danny. He can pass it on.
Okay, item 6 on the agenda is to approve the minutes of November. I'm
Y'all
sorry.
should have got a brand new copy of those. Those two changes.
I got it.
Okay, thank
So
you.
moved.
Motion by Magistrate Davis,
I'll second.
second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Discussion?
Yeah, I've got a couple changes, and court, correct me if I'm wrong. First one, last paragraph on page 1, the motion for the approval of the compensation change for Caskey, and, that was for additional job duties added. I thought that would be appropriate for the November 10th, 2021, for additional job duties that were added. And then.
And an additional title too, right?
An additional title, yes, correct, thank you, Magistrate.
Okay, hold on. You want to add additional?
Title and job duties.
Thank you.
And then on the second page on the fourth paragraph, it was a motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos, second by Magistrate Davis, to table items 12, 13, and 14 until next fiscal court meeting to allow time for Judge Branham to get written details of added, or you can say, or additional job duties. It wasn't for jobs, just job descriptions.
To give
Details of additional job duties.
Do we need to put in there which positions, or just leave it at that?
It was on the motion to table. It was items 12, 13, and
You
14.
need to add 12 to it, correct?
Huh?
You need to add 12 to it, correct? It only says 13 and 14.
Yeah,
Is that right?
correct.
It's it in the next one, but not that one.
So it was amended to the next one, to add 12. We can add that one too.
I think you made the motion to
I
do
ma-
them all three.
originally I made the motion. No, yeah, you're right, you're
I
right.
think so.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, you and I talked about this, and the agenda said one thing, but the order said the other on the motion for hire. The motion says for hiring full-time deputy judge executive. Again, the agenda said one thing, but the order said the other. I don't think there was any question about the hiring. It was about us setting the salary. So, I thought and I didn't make the motion. The discussion was, but it had nothing to do with hiring. It had to do with establishing the salary for the statute. So we can change it or not, but
We take all those off of the orders.
yeah, we had that discussion.
What do I need to do with you?
The approval of the minutes is subject to this court, so I guess if there's some,
Yeah. For 7 years, we've been doing them off the header, off the order.
But
You want to, just tell me what you want me to do.
quite frankly, I think you ought to take the minutes from what the motion actually was, as opposed to what the minutes, as opposed to what the agenda or the order says. The motion should be what the maker of the motion states, and not what's on any written document. So that's just me, but I'm not an expert on motions or minutes or Robert's Rules of Order. But I don't think, and I didn't make the motion. I did second it, but I don't think I seconded a motion to hire a deputy judge executive. I think
Was the motion not to approve the order?
the motion was to approve an order setting the salary.
I think if the motion was to approve an order, it would be to approve the order that was on the heading of the order.
May I have the floor? I would agree that, if it's a standard motion, make a motion to approve an order. Voted down, documented in the minutes. So that's my stance on that.
What you want me to do?
We'll just leave it like it is, as far as I'm concerned. Unless the maker of the motion feels otherwise. Again, I think minutes are very important. They're the only recorded document we have of what we do, so.
What was the title on the order? I don't think we-
What she's got written, but that's not what the discussion was all about.
I agree, we didn't hire, but, and I made the motion.
But the motion was to approve the order, correct?
I believe it was. I can't say that it wasn't, so. I think it's a moot point, so. Call the question, Judge.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye for the minutes with the changes. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, you have a transfer order.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by Magistrate Thompson. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, you have the December health insurance transfers.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by Magistrate Elkins. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, consider approval of the bills list.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by Magistrate Blanton. Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You have your county clerk's fee audit for calendar year 2020. Michelle, I will say it looked like a good, clean audit, so we appreciate the attention you give to your office. I don't think we need any action, we just need to note that in our minutes. Next, we have an engagement letter for the fiscal court audit FY 2021, and this one I will need signed.
Motion to.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12 would be presentation and PowerPoint regarding the ARPA funds by our treasurer, Alicia Mayab, and our finance officer, Eric Caskey. I'll turn the floor over to you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I just put together a small a PowerPoint just to get the information to you all that I have gathered for the past a few months since I've been dealing with all that ARPA funding. I know there's going to be questions, and I don't mind if you all, but if you want to get them to me, and then I will find out the responses or whatever, or we can do a more in-depth discussion when we are ready to spend the funds. So the American Rescue Plan Act was signed into law on March 11th of the 2021. To date, we have received a little over $3.5 million. In May of 2022, we will receive another payment for that exact amount. It is kept in our federal grants account per the DLG requirements. We have until December the 31st of 2024 until obligate the funds, and they must be expended and completed by December the 31st of 2026. I know there's been some questions about the reporting requirements. The first report was due on the 31st of August. We did do that timely. We must submit our first expenditure report by January the 31st of 2022. That is a change in the deadline. That used to be October the 31st. And when we do that report, it will cover all expenditures through December of the 31st of this year. And then after that report, we will we will be required to do quarterly reporting because we are receiving more than the $5 million. So the big question is, what are we allowed to use the funds on? The requirements are very specific on what we're allowed to use the funds on. And we have been urged to contact DLG when we do make decisions to make sure that all the requirements are met. So we can use the funds to support the public health response, to replace a revenue loss for premium pay for workers, address the negative economic in detail. So the public health response, they want to make sure that we know that it is different than the CARES Act. So for this one, specifically, it is just for the portion of the employees on the time that was spent dedicated to responding to COVID, and for rehiring the staff that may have been lost during that time frame. So I don't want to read the whole slide to you, but the negative for workers and for small businesses to respond to the.
Is there a definition that we have to use for essential workers versus the non-essential? I know, because I've seen it in other communities where there's been a discussion over who gets to pay.
You would define that. Right.
Okay.
Yes, it needs to be specified by the court. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. We could also use it for water and the sewer infrastructure. I know that this is a lot. This is prominent here. There's not a lot of details about it, but it does tell us to the eligible uses align with the EPA. So this stormwater is a big thing here. So. And the last one, and we know the most about this one, is that we can use it for broadband expansion. And we have already obligated certain funds for that as well, for the website. That will be our way for the community to let us know about their broadband and their access that we did with a charter.
It was like 300,000.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So. Keiko gave us some of the best on the best on the practices. So they gave you I think utilized on the for when and other funding sources as well. And one other use that does not have a lot of detail about it is administrative expenses. It can include the audit fees, the administrative fees, and there's no cap on that amount, but it needs to be a reasonable amount. And in this, I'm just kind of details of that procurement process for when we do start to use the funding. They want us to use the state approved the vendors if possible, and want to equitably share or like, I use diverse and disadvantaged suppliers if it is practical. And then we already know the 2 quotes for the 10,000 to 30,000, and then the 30,000 would follow the normal procurement process that we already follow for the bid process. And there's some of our county requirements. Everything needs to be written. There's a lot of record keeping that goes along with making sure that we keep all of the detail on our spending, and making sure that whenever we do get audited on it, that we have all of that available for them. They place a big emphasis on the diversity that we need to try to use. We need to try to use other minority businesses and women-owned businesses as much as possible. And then there is a little diagram about the disbursement program process from when we engage our team to the disbursement and reporting process. So just to give an idea of the process that we need to follow once we start to disperse the funds. Is there any questions that I can answer now, or I can look into for y'all?
Can you guys email me a copy of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I can
Please.
send this out to everybody.
There were some new rules issued Friday.
Okay.
Do we expect any changes from those new rules significant to what we've already had explained to us?
I have not. I've not seen any changes.
Haven't seen them, okay. And then, when you read publicity from other communities, Lexington Fayette Urban County Government had a whole list of projects that I don't think qualifies for counties. Are the city rules and county rules different, or do you have any idea?
I am not aware that they are different, but we can only go by what we approve. I mean, and they did get a significant amount different that either we did, because it is based on the population.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's this, it's significantly different than ours. And I am not aware of a city difference in the funding.
There was just a bunch of projects that I didn't think qualified under what I had understood.
I guess it's how you explain it. Maybe they're good with words.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you all, and if you've got any other questions, I'm available.
Thank you all very much. Very thorough. Okay. Item 13, consider an order approving a salary increase for County Treasurer Alicia Mayab.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Davis.
Second.
I'll second.
Oh, was that Tom? Second
Sorry,
by
Dan.
Magistrate Thompson. Discussion.
One thing. Abilities of the ARPA funding. Or if you got a better way of wording it.
No, I would, especially in light of Alicia's presentation just now. I mean, clearly there's going to be a lot of auditing, administrative, accounting, and responsibilities involved. And that was an excellent presentation and very helpful to my decision-making on this, so I'd absolutely agree to that.
Thank you.
So what are we changing? Are we changing text of the order, or are we just changing the motion?
Well, the motion's to approve the order, but the caveat on the motion is just
Okay,
for
just a motion, not the
Yeah, I'm
order,
not
okay.
changing the order or anything,
Okay.
but just wanted to add that part of the record.
Okay.
Add responsibility of the
ARPA funding.
ARPA funding. I mean, basically, she's going to be managing and doing the accounting of the ARPA funding.
You're going to be doing most of the reporting. Alicia's still in here. Alicia's right there. You're going to do all the reporting, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, that clearly, yeah, I think that's,
Alicia, does that amount match exactly what we have budgeted for it? It does? Okay.
well, I would say also, in addition to ARPA funding, I've given a lot of thought to this since the last meeting, and since we got our packets, and I think if I'm not, my math is right, I think this would still put Alicia at right at the same amount. Okay, I thought it was a little less than that. But nevertheless, I'm fine with that because, I think she's doing, from what I can tell, an outstanding job. And again, she's going to have even more responsibilities with ARPA. And she also has, you've been with us over a year now, haven't you, Alicia? She's been with us over a year and without any we just heard in that presentation, which was very helpful. So.
Okay, I think we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, consider an order approving a salary increase for Assistant Treasurer, Director of Finance, Amanda Sperling.
I'd like to offer up a motion, and I'll explain my rationale, but number 14, I would offer up a motion until budget time. Through the information that you gave, I did not see any additional job duties that were being added. Miss Amanda has done a outstanding job. She's been here a little over 3 months, about 4 months, I think, is what it's been, and just in light, I mentioned at last meeting, I want to make sure that it's for additional job duties while we're doing it in the middle of the budget time, just for the fact of is I think it's going to open Pandora's box, and I think we've already seen, the fire chief has already mentioned additional raises for his employees, and I think everybody received the email that we received, the home incarceration wanting to increase their rate of pay. And I think we're going to have all departments to do it, and I think that it's really incumbent that we do it all at budget time so we can include everybody in that conversation.
So your motion would be to table until budget time?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos and a second by Magistrate Davis to table until budget time. Okay, discussion. Floor is open.
I think we should consider it. I think we should approve it or deny it. I don't think we should table
Yeah.
it.
No sense kicking the can down the road.
No, sir.
Well, let me state, because I'm able to have discussion also as a fiscal court member. When we made the rationale for Alicia, the one we just approved before, in the written rationale, it says nothing about additional job duties. It basically lays out her experience, her training, her education, what she's done, what she will do, and the same was for Amanda Sperling. You can put in a motion whatever you want, but the fact of the matter is we've reviewed these, and these were not the only ones we're going to review. We're getting ready to review Janet Townsend in her position as Director of Human Resources, getting ready to review home incarceration, Tony Kirk. And all I could do is bring them to you all, and this court by majority vote votes it up or down, just like Travis said. So you can say it's, for additional job duties, and it will be, but it seems kind of clear to me in talking with these folks for the last few weeks that the things they've done and are going to do and do now merit these raises. So with that, that's my discussion. Anyone else?
Just one comment, if I may. As you just mentioned in your statement there, is that you already know that there's going to be a lot to be reviewed, and in order to make sound financial judgments, you've got to have all the financial information on what it's cost. If we keep piecemeal, each meeting from here, it may be over a 6-8 week course. We need to do it all at once as part of the budget, so that way we've got a full financial picture. And I just don't think that it's appropriate to do that, because once we start the process, it's just going to constantly compound, and we've seen that in the past. That's why we implemented the compensation plan.
Well, I think you need to make up your mind whether it's going to be, with sound financial judgment or because we're adding additional duties. I've heard both of them discussed here.
Unfortunately, some of our employees can't wait 12 months when groceries are going up, gas is going up, everything to go out and write a check for or put on their debit card is going up, so we gotta recognize that. It's not their fault when they go to the grocery store. It costs them quite a bit more this week.
I don't think increasing a base salary in the middle of a budget year is not sound financial judgment. I disagree with you on that, Daniel.
Well,
Any other? Oh,
I say one thing.
sure, you can say two.
I'm saying that it's not financial judgment when you make the statement that we're gonna have several departments that are gonna be coming in and evaluating them all. And so it's hard to make a decision on one individual when you don't know what's gonna, is this gonna be $300,000, $400,000? So my thing is with the statement of sound financial judgment is if I'm gonna make a $10,000 increase here, it's easier for me to consider it if I know we're gonna be maxed out at $150,000, or is this gonna be $500,000?
Well,
I don't know the answer.
And I understand your concerns there, but let me state that these increases that we're bringing to you now are all budgeted. We're all budgeted on these.
We can't get to that point to talk about it because it keeps getting tabled.
Except when we get to the point of our human resources director, and she doesn't have a line item in the budget. So no, she's not budgeted. So we've got to do some type of transfer or amendment there. And I understand your concern. You can't let budgets go out of control. But I think these are in line. I think these are acceptable under the total line of our budget. So there again, I think these are justified. I think these are very appropriate.
One question, if I may.
Yes, sir.
If I understand you correctly, you're saying that you feel like that the increases that we're discussing can be made or given at this time, and you can still remain within your portion of the budget, will still be in line.
I think these will remain in line with the budget, except for
Except for the finance officer, which
the,
wasn't
well,
budgeted. Yeah,
But I'm
Human
talking about
resources.
as a whole. I mean as a whole.
I think as a budget whole will be, yes.
When with these recommendations that you've given and we get to the end of the year, you're still gonna be in line with your budget.
I think so. And then, and I appreciate that, Magistrate Elkins, and, I've come in, I've only been here about 3
Correct.
weeks or a little over, and I've tried to come up to speed. And like I told you all at the last court meeting, these were brought to me. I felt it was my duty as administrative officer, the chief administrative officer, to bring it to the legislative body. Because I feel that somehow we missed something here. And I don't want to place any judgment on anyone because it happens. It happens in, boards of directors and things of that nature all the time. But what you can do is try to look at it as a board and correct it if you can. Especially, it seems to me like just coming in fresh that this fiscal court has taken a position and a policy of, kind of expanding county government, as you will. You've recruited some great folks. They've got great educations and skills, job duties. I know that with the expansion of the human resources director, I think these things could be very well utilized in Clark County government. And so, when I bring these to y'all, what I'm trying to do is support the policy and the direction that the fiscal court seems to be going. But to answer your question and not belabor this, yes, I think we can stay within our total budget.
I disagree with the analogy that we've expanded government. I do think we may have expanded some of the roles of the employees in government, but I don't think we expanded government. Once we get to the end of the year, because we've looked at all the employees in under the judge's purview except one, and I want to make sure that one's included as well. So when we get to the end of the year, all of these include increases and plus the one that we haven't looked at yet, you'll still be within the confines of your budget. And if you believe so, then I feel like I could support this increase.
I believe so.
Well, I want to point out a couple of things. I know the cost of living's going up. I mean, we all feel it, and I'm sympathetic to that. I think that when we got to consider kind of perception with other employees. I mean, we've got county employees that are making an hourly raise that have never gotten any kind of significant raise other than that 1% anniversary bump. And, you know, that's not going to amount to a whole lot when somebody's making $12 or $13 an hour, so $14 an hour. So I'm concerned that, you know, those folks are not going to be taken up while we're giving one employee who's been with us less than 6 months a raise. And I understand the reason, and I understand bringing it to the fiscal court, and there's nothing wrong with that, although I think this is being done in kind of a hodgepodge fashion, and I think that's not a good look. It's never a bad look to give people a raise, but I think when we've got people that aren't being considered yet and may not be considered for a few months, I think that's there's a sense of unfairness there. And I know, you know, you can't do everything for everybody at once, but I think this probably could be taken up in a more organized fashion, and maybe even to a point where, you know, if it's that big of an issue, we even have a special meeting or a workshop to address these, maybe even before budget, and I'd be open to that, but I'll have to defer, you know, my approval of this, and it may pass today, but that's my take on it.
Judge, if I may, that brings me to my follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
So we feel like we're comfortable that we can give these increases and remain within the judge's office budget, and also continue to pay Ms. Townsend as well. The next question would be, and I know that you anticipate this creating a stampede, I guess, of people coming to your office asking for pay increases. And I know you have to have anticipated that when you did this. Do you anticipate being able to remain within the budget and give those additional increases that surely will be coming?
Well, that's one thing that I will assure you. When they do come to our office, and of course we have the judge's office, then we also have the fiscal court employees, you know, the treasurer, the human resources director, and the assistant treasurer director of finance. Those are not really judge's office employees, but we will work with them to make sure and assure. For example, if we had the road supervisor or the animal shelter director or the fire chief that came and asked to review, such as we've
I'd expect
done.
to see them all.
Well, then I think we will have that conversation with them administratively. And one thing we will talk to them about is, what are you budgeted? Are you going to be able to stay within your budget? Because I'm not sure, and I've talked with the majority of the employees, I've talked with all of the supervisors, and I know there's some challenges there with them recruiting and retaining. So in a perfect world, we could probably set a policy and say, March of every year, departments bring raises, which would be different than those annual increases or the anniversary increases that are built in, I think, into the pay plan. But for example, if they feel they need a baseline of a position raised, if we could set just 1 month, but I think with the unusual times that we've got out there right now, competition is really tough in certain areas. And, you know, that's the reason I say that, in my opinion, being a responsible, you know, chief administrative officer, I've got to bring that to the board and let you all see it and decide and set policy. But we would certainly have that conversation with them on an administrative level.
One point, and I think if it indulges the court, and Magistrate Davis articulated a very good suggestion, and I can go along with that, and I can agree with it if this body would go with it. And the information that Magistrate Thompson shared in regards to it is different times that we are dealing with. So propose doing a special called meeting and let's look at addressing everybody because this is a retention problem across the state, and let's do them all at once, even though it's before budget time. That way we can have all the budget numbers that we currently have and use those to stay within the size of budget. And let's just go ahead and address all the county employees at that special meeting, and we do that in the next couple weeks.
In my opinion, we're getting ready to do that because we've asked him to do that for ARPA. And don't forget, we got $3.5 million sitting in the bank that we can use for the road department, for the fire department. I would imagine the animal shelter would qualify. The jail certainly qualifies. The sheriff qualifies. I think every county employee can get part of that $3.5 million, and we got 3.5 more coming this week. So, I'm sorry, next year, 2022. So, I think we're getting ready to have that meeting. This has nothing to do with that. I think it's time to move on, call the question, and vote whether we're going to table this or not.
So with that, I wanted to amend my original motion on tabling it, that we just table it to a special session within the next couple weeks and address all county employees across the board.
I think I called the question, Judge.
I think you did, and I think I.
We're going to vote on the table.
County Attorney, William, should I call the question as it stands, or should I allow an amendment?
Well, I think you have to have a minority vote on the minority motion to call the question to see whether or not that's where the body stands.
Okay. All right, we will call for the question to table, I think it's item 14 until the budget. We'll do a roll call vote.
The vote is on whether we're calling the question, is that correct?
William, is that one? Okay. We got another motion. This would be a motion. Can we do the motion in a second on that? Or does it stand, or is it just
Just a call.
Yeah, you still need to have a second.
acclamation?
You gotta have a second.
Okay, so that would be the motion by Magistrate by Magistrate Thompson to call for the question, and a second by who?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Magistrate Blanton. I think it takes precedent. We don't have to debate. Does anyone disagree? Okay. Roll call vote on that motion to call for the question.
Question. Okay. Magistrate Elkins?
No.
Davis?
No.
Blanton?
Yes.
Constantopoulos?
No.
Thompson?
Yes.
And Judge?
Yes.
No majority.
So it's a tie. Okay. So I think we've got the original motion.
So,
Uh,
and I would like to amend my original motion to table it to a special called meeting to address increases for all county employees in a special called meeting all at once.
Now, Judge, if I may have one comment on that motion, on the amended motion.
Well-
It'll be brief.
I'm perfectly okay with it. I'm just wondering if I'm going to be contested because I don't have a second.
Understand.
Then you'll amend your second to, okay, now, Magistrate Elkins, you
apologies for
have the
jumping,
floor.
Judge.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I would say again, while I agree with Magistrate Thompson, the price of groceries have gone up. We see it every time I go in the store, if you can find groceries. A lot of times I go in there and they don't have half of what I want, but that's neither here nor there. So much for being brief, correct? But anyway, I could see supporting the increases, but I do agree with Magistrate Constantopoulos as well. I would like to see it done in a manner where we can see the whole picture rather than piecemealing the picture. So I'm going to support the motion to table until we can have a look at the whole picture at maybe a special called meeting or something like that.
I have no problem with a special call meeting. I have zero confidence that when we get to that special call meeting that we won't table this again. This young lady's asked for a raise, and I think she deserves an answer. That's just my opinion.
Okay, I think we're back to our motion to table until a special called meeting. And the second said the same. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Michelle?
Question.
Oh, yes, sir.
Special call meeting, time frame?
Within the next couple weeks. I'm all
So
for
we're
doing
talking about
it.
before Christmas?
I'm all for doing it, and I'm not going to table it, Magistrate Thompson. I just think we need to do it all at once.
I'll hold you
and-
to that.
And put it to bed.
So before
You
Christmas?
hold me to it. I'm on the record.
My
stating.
personal preference would be in the evening, so we have as many people have an opportunity to come off work and whether it's department head.
There are employees, they can show up if we tell them they can.
Yeah, we can.
I wouldn't tell them to, but would welcome their input.
Well, we can
I think we
actually,
can approve them coming to a fiscal court meeting.
well,
talk
no,
about
we
their
can
pay.
require them to come, but we do have to compensate them.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't tell them to, but I would welcome their input, but I would be hesitant to tell them to be here.
You know, one concern I have is, what criteria do we communicate to the department heads that they need to develop in this period of time to address their needs as far as adjusting
I think that's part of the danger of opening this said Pandora's box. Now, we had an outline as to how to give increases, and we're going away from that. We had a pay plan, but we seem to be going away from that for whatever reason, justified or not. I'm not debating that. But now that we seem to be willing to go away from it, that's
well, and
going to be an issue for sure.
And that's a very good point. And quite frankly, we kind of varied from that at the last court meeting when we approved one raise. Regardless of the reasoning and the rationale we gave for it, if we varied from that process that you talked about, that's when we started down this road. And I think it would have been more palatable to the employees had we expressed that at that point in time. Now I think that it's going to be personal. I'm just going to be honest with you. And, you know, that's something we'll deal with on the administrative end. That's our job.
But you're the one that set the agenda and put the pay
Yes,
raise
sir.
on the agenda, so.
And I still feel that it's perfectly in line. I feel that it's perfectly appropriate because of the times that we're in right now with employment, competition for, hiring and retention. I still feel that's appropriate.
And I think there were additional duties and maybe even an additional title that was given for the pay increase last time. So, I mean, you really gave someone a whole new set of tasks, and for that, they should be compensated. Now we're talking about compensating people for doing the same thing they have done, even in some cases, less than 6 months or 6 months' time. So I think that's
That's your prerogative.
Alicia, with the ARPA money, if that's, you may not know, if it's okay if you don't, but with the pay part of that, is that a one-time, I don't want to say bonus, but I'll use that word for lack of a better word. Is that like a one-time payment or a one-time bonus, or is
For
that?
the premium pay.
For the
yes.
premium pay, a one-time payout?
Well, it doesn't have to be. It can be a per hour, and we can go back to the beginning of the pandemic. When the state of emergency was declared, and do a per hour, and then a per hour going forward as well, or we can just do a flat rate or a flat amount of per employee.
It just has to be expended by
Right.
2026, correct?
I was like,
That money has to be expended by 2026 would be the
Yes.
only regular.
So if you do a per hour,
That's
that
if we
would
want to
keep-
use it for premium.
Right.
We don't have to use any of it for premium pay at the court, so.
True.
We'll pick how much we want to use of that. Okay.
And just pulling from memory, but do I remember seeing somewhere in one of those slides that it's a maximum of $25,000
Yes,
per
per
employee?
employee.
That's correct.
An increase is in perpetuity, whereas this has a cap on it of 25,000. So agree it would ease the pain temporarily, but when you're looking at the long-term picture, the increases will have to be paid
Eventually, the money
forevermore.
run out.
Correct, yeah. Even after the ARPA funds are gone.
Okay.
Nothing further from me, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got no issue with discussing this in total. I think one of the main criteria that everyone needs to look at is trying to stay within the budget that we've got. So with that in mind, we can proceed.
To the special next, I mean, we can do it next week, I don't care,
Okay.
within the next 2 weeks.
We have, the motion would be to table item 14 until a special call meeting.
Within the next.
Within the next 2
2
weeks.
Just so we can do everybody at once.
Okay, ready? All those in favor? Michelle, you gonna do roll call? Yeah, let's do roll call.
Measure Davis,
Yes.
Blanton,
Yes.
Constantopoulos.
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
Director, Manager, Terry Wilson.
Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that I'll recuse from this item.
You're gonna recuse from discussion and voting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'm of the mind that that one would be discussed in the next 2 weeks as well, because there was not any additional.
So you're making a motion to table until
Till
the
the
special call meeting
Yes,
within
sir.
the next 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. Have that motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
I second.
second by Magistrate Elkins. Any discussion?
I would just add in that meeting, if possible, but I know that'll be a special meeting, but I'd like some discussion of maybe a proposal on using some ARPA money for this. And, you know, if the court decides that, and I don't know what the will of the court will be.
You
at
want
that
this to
time.
go in the motion?
Well, no, but, well, this is in respect to the meeting.
I was gonna say, listen up, Daniel, because you're gonna have to recite this.
Now, just, never mind. I'll withdraw my comments.
Motion and a second, I think.
Consider that you will actually get back the money. And not only that, but I would still have enough money left on the plate in my next 2 budgets to hire someone part-time.
Now, the court members, do y'all understand that her salary is reimbursed 87.5% by the federal government? Okay, just wanted to make sure. So we have the motion on the floor to table item 15
To the next.
until the next,
next-
until
or
a
the
special call meeting
the
within
next
2
couple
weeks. And we have a second. That's going to be the question. You ready? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, no.
Nay.
No. So
3-2.
3-2. All right, item 16, consider an order approving the hire of a full-time equipment operator.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by Magistrate Davis. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 17, consider an order approving the hire of a part-time heavy equipment operator
Motion to approve.
by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by consider an order approving the hire of a part-time heavy equipment operator.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Blanton,
Second.
second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 19, consider an order approving the change of status of Shelby Smith from equipment operator to heavy equipment operator
So moved.
by Magistrate Elkins,
Second.
second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. All in favor?
Question. Meeting.
How would you like it to read, Magistrate Blanton?
If, we need to put the word status in there.
Okay. Who made the motion?
I did, and I'll amend my motion to read an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the change of status of Shelby Smith from equipment operator to heavy equipment operator at the Clark County Road Department.
Okay, who made the second?
I think I made the second, did I not, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
I'll accept that as a friendly.
And Judge,
amendment.
I would ask, and I know that you probably, the road supervisor isn't here, but I'd kind of like to know, does this get us up to what I would consider wintertime numbers at the road department. This now get us fully staffed at the road department, these hires.
Alan did express to me that with the 2 part-times that he was hiring, and I'm assuming these other changes as well, and then 1 full-time equipment operator, that's what he was gearing up for, was winter activity.
I assumed as much. I just
I don't wanna
make
speak
sure that
for
we're
him, but-
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Just might ask that question, but thank you.
Okay, I think we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 20 would be consider an order changing the status of Kelly Smith from firefighter 3 to captain
So moved.
by Magistrate Davis,
Second.
by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion?
Again, I'd hate to be a stick in the mud, but
The order
the
doesn't say status.
agenda says one thing and the order says another. So are we changing the status or are we promoting?
You're voting on the order.
So we're indeed promoting regardless of what the agenda says.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
promotion is a change of status.
Well, I'm just trying to be consistent, that's all I'm trying to be.
Not using the
We-
same words.
and we
but that's what
appreciate
it
that,
is.
Robert.
Just trying to be consistent.
Any other discussion on 20?
So you want to leave that one like it is? Yes. Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consider an order approving an annual contract with the emergency reporting for software and support for MDTs for Clark County Fire Department. Chief, do you have anything to add to that, or is it basically state what we need to do? This is for software and support.
This is for the software. We're receiving a grant, or we're receiving funding from the CSEP program. Sorry about that, man.
That's it.
I apologize. We're receiving funding from the CSEP program to purchase the MDTs, but the contract will have to be renewed annually, so that's why we're doing it in a separate order, I suppose.
Okay.
The MDTs will be reimbursed to the county.
Okay.
Just,
That's correct.
That is correct. Just making sure.
The purchase of the equipment is reimbursed.
Yes.
What he's done before you is the ongoing software that will be
And-
required to do that.
The
is
software and
correct.
support, right.
Yes, sir.
would you just go through this real quick for the public good and transparency? I see the cost is, the 1-year cost is 78.4, and then the annual cost is 5,500. And what are we getting for this? Just so the public will know.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So the reporting software is what we'll do our run reports, our NIFRS reports on. It'll also maintain inventory of our equipment in the fire department. It'll also allow us to communicate back and problem, and the head of truck maintenance in our department will monitor that. That way he's aware of it, and we can streamline the communication between the department. But more importantly, what the software will let us do is also be eligible for grant funding that we receive from the state at $11,000 annually. We have to continue to report those numbers, and this program will let us do that. It's a format that they will require.
Is that a budget item? I mean, since we for personnel, let's just get right down and talk to us. So
Yes.
we can budget, we can rearrange the budget so you can still stay within budget.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
For
But
this year, and you'll include
The
the,
only reason it was not budgeted is because we did not have the funding allocated for the MDTs ourselves. We didn't have that answer until recently.
and cost.
We had already budgeted, we had already set the budget, therefore we did not have the funding available. But now that CSEP has said, yes, we will refund
Okay.
this, that's why it was not budgeted ahead of time.
And then annual cost is about $5,600.
That is correct, yes, sir, and we will budget for that in the future if we continue to do so.
Thank you, Chief, I appreciate
No
it.
problems or any other questions?
Any other questions for Chief?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We have a
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Elkins,
Second.
second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 22 would be consider an order to grant permission for the road department to apply for Kentucky Department of Agricultural funding for the compost facility.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos,
Second.
second by Magistrate Elkins. Any discussion?
I know Alan here, is this a similar amount that we're applying for that we got this last year? 120 or something, I think, wasn't it? Does anybody know?
I do not know.
I did not ask
Okay.
about that.
But don't hurt to apply, okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Judge, can I have one additional comment on the composting facility? And
Sure.
I've asked this question before, and I don't know how we can do it since it's a grant and runs through. I would still like to have us to be able to come up with a dollar figure at the budget year as to how much it's costing us, how much we're getting back in grant money, just kind of a total bottom accounting for everything, in and out, and personnel-wise. I know we hired more personnel, I think, than we did, and we've bought the equipment with grants. I'd just like to see that broken out as a separate, not separate department, I guess, but as a separate expense line items or something at some point in the future.
Judge Chief Asbury's raising his hand.
Oh,
Sir,
yes.
Sir, if I may, I can't speak for Alan, but I can tell you recently, part of the composting, the chipper that we bought for that facility was 87% refunded by the
Yeah.
federal government and the state. So the entire, I believe it was $27,000.
Mhm.
So we got back 87.5% of that funding for that.
Yeah, and I agree. I know we're getting a lot of it back, but we just don't see it in black and white at the bottom, at the end of the day, and that's just, at some point in time, I'd like to get there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are we've already voted that one, okay.
Yeah.
Item 23 would be consider an order to grant permission to form the Solid Waste Committee consisting of 4 members. Now, this would, and I'm looking through this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Can we
but
just use the
I-
road committee?
Well, I spoke to Mr. Curtis and asked him, I said, who are the appointments gonna be or what, because there was nothing in there. And I think his plan is just to, from my understanding, is that he wanted a motion to approve to set up the committee, but he was gonna try to get 4 members to serve on that because he was gonna use governmental agencies. He said he was gonna look at maybe getting somebody from WMU, getting a member of the fiscal court, and then
A citizen member?
a citizen member and somebody else, but he would bring that list back to us.
That makes more sense.
Why don't we, I don't think we have to table this if it's in agreement. Why don't we hold this?
I think he wants a consensus to go ahead and contact people to serve.
That's basically what he wants. So
Yeah.
we really can't approve this order because it says appointing members and we
Yeah.
don't have
I would
names.
concur with that,
Yeah.
Pass
So
it to the
let's
next
just,
regular
let me
meeting.
just pass along to Alan that we'll get names. And
That we're good with the,
Just strike it from the agenda for today?
does anyone have any opposition
I
to
don't.
forming this committee?
I don't, Judge. I don't have any opposition. I have a question about the committee. Is the committee's intended purpose to form or amend or develop a solid waste management plan that must be permitted or must be presented to the cabinet by, I don't know, September of '22? Is that the
I think
intention of
that-
this committee?
I think that's what he's wanting is assistance
Yeah.
from community members and at least one fiscal court member to assist in those duties.
Yeah, that's typically the way it's done, and then the committee is typically disbanded after the plan has been presented, so I just.
Well, see, we may need to change this order because this one would
Yeah.
run the committee concurrent with the judge executive, which would be a 4-year term.
So make it a temporary committee. But
Yeah, that was my
So
one.
let me go back to Alan and have a conversation.
Sure.
No-
I think
no
that's a
one-
good.
Approve this order. Do you
I
want to
will
withdraw?
rescind that motion and until, technically, we need to take action on what's on the agenda. So I mean, I motion that we table it to a future meeting. How about that?
Postpone it.
Why
Or
not?
postpone it to.
Probably the December 8th
the
meeting. I mean, surely
December
you'll know
8th
by
meeting.
then.
Yeah.
so.
So motion is to postpone it till the December 8th meeting.
Until December Okay. Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos to table until or
I'll
postpone.
I'll second that.
And a second by Magistrate Davis. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 24 would be consider an order approving wholesale pricing of bulk compost material.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Magistrate Davis,
Second?
second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion or questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now. Discussion.
Now, the opioid, so that
Yes.
both these are the same opioid.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 26 would be the same, except it would be the subdivision Jansen settlement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Elkins, second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion?
Again, Judge, I just bring those questions up so the public will know what we're approving.
Right.
I mean, they have no idea what these two are, and that's why I asked those questions. It just helpful to be transparent and the public knows.
Understood. Okay, are we ready to vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I lost my little paper here. Discussion and note in the minutes before I have that little what I put on the agenda. In communicating with county attorney, he and Alan did indeed visit the area and that is in question, and the road supervisor, Alan, believes the proposed gate location is not on the county road system. And, so really we have no authority to grant permission or not grant permission because Alan believes that it's not on the county road system. So we would just note in the minutes that we've been notified by John Quisenberry, 464 Quisenberry Lane, that he intends to put a gate up there. What do y'all think?
Well, if Alan says it's not our road,
That's what he said. Okay. So we'll note that in the minutes. And I've got the 464. Okay, 28 magistrate comments. Let's start at District 4. You're always in the middle child.
I get to go first.
Probably because it's a special call meeting and
Oh.
the public not having any notice of what it is that Magistrate Elkins might want to talk about. We probably better just hold that till later.
Okay, we'll,
You better do it.
upon,
All I
The
was,
rest of you guys, whatever you want to say.
you saying because it's a special call
the
meeting? no
special call
magistrate
meeting, we
comment?
should probably not have comments.
All I was gonna say was happy
So,
Thanksgiving.
you can make,
No comment.
you can
Judge.
make a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
By Magistrate Elkins, second by Magistrate Constantopoulos.
Judge,
All
you
in
got
favor, aye.
You got some folks out in the crowd?
Yes.
I'm very sorry to speak out of turn. Could I just mention something really fast?
Yeah, we've adjourned, so you would be
That's okay.
speaking.
It's specific to you all though.
Sure.
As I understand, the discussion of the minutes from last month or the last meeting, we now have on the minutes, which are the public record, a motion which the person that made it did not make, which the person that seconded did not second, discussing a matter that the board has no legal authority over. That seems to me absurd.
Well, and I can understand, and sometimes in public assemblies such as this, and I'm just speaking from my experience, someone may disagree with me, absurd action seems to come out because the majority of the body rules. So you may have something that, the motioner and the second didn't agree with, But because the majority of the body says it happened, then it did happen, according to them. If it did happen or it didn't happen, that's kind of tossed aside for the pleasure of the majority of the body. Does that make sense? And not make sense?
But I get it.
Thank you all very much. Oh, he left it?
Nope, it's not my job.
Thank you, sir.
Nope.